Hello and welcome to everybody today. I have a very special guest. It's MMA coaching legend Lloyd Irvin. Lloyd, can you please say a few sentences about yourself for an introduction so we can continue?
Yeah, my name is Lloyd Irvin. I started Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu in 1996. I got my blue belt in 30 days. Got my black belt in 3.5 years from Leo Dalla. I got my black belt in 2000 in Brazil, and I've been coaching guys in the UFC. My first UFC fight was Brandon the Truth Vera. I think I was in 2005, and since then I've been coaching guys in the UFC ever since. We had a UFC world champion in Dominick Cruz. The most recent guy is a guy named Sadiq Youssef. He's currently number 13 in the featherweight division of UFC. He's been in about a year. We're 4-0, and he just broke into the top 15 of the UFC.
Great. So, why did you pick Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu as your fundamental martial art? You trained many martial arts and so on, but you progressed at BJJ. Why did you pick BJJ anyway?
Well, it was interesting. So I started boxing when I was 8 years old. I started martial arts when I was 3 years old, and then I went to, got into playing sports. Went to college on a track scholarship. Played football in college. When I got out of college, didn't know what I was going to do. And one of my fraternity brothers gave me the UFC One VHS tape. And after seeing UFC One, I saw Hoist Gracie. I fell in love, and I started training that, and that's been my life now.
Which are your greatest BJJ successes as a coach?
Say it one more time.
Which are your greatest BJJ successes, but as a coach, your students in BJJ, which are the greatest successes they completed?
It's hard to say. I mean, we've had a lot of students come from the team. If we talk about the highest level, we have Jamil Hill, black belt world champion. We have Muhammad Ali, black belt world champion. But we've had world champions at every belt level. Blue, we double golded at the Worlds at blue. We double golded at the Worlds at purple. We've double golded at the Worlds at brown. In the gi and no gi, we've had world champions at every belt level, female and male, except female. We don't have a black belt world champion. We have a blue, purple, brown. We have a silver medal at black belt female. And this year I thought we were going to get our female black belt world champion, but I'm not sure if they're going to have the tournament this year.
Yeah, great. So when did your UFC coaching, when did it start to become very serious? When did it reach elite level? Which was that year?
I think I would have to say maybe 2005, 2006. We were at the elite level because, like I said, my first fighter was Brandon the Truth Vera. We went 3-0, 4-0 right away. We fought Frank Mir, who was a former world champion. We beat Frank Mir. We beat Oswaldo Silva, who had only one loss. He had never been submitted in 40 fights. We submitted him. And at that point, they were talking about us fighting Fedor, and it was crazy. So, I mean, getting to the elite level, ever since I got with Brandon, ever since Brandon and Alexander Gustafsson and Phil Davis and everyone, we've always been in top 15, top 10, top 5 UFC. We got a UFC title champion. We held the championship 5, 6, 7 years. You know what I'm saying? That is kind of elite. You know what I'm saying? When you're competing, training guys, and winning world titles. So I would say 2005, 2010ish, we hit the mark.
All right. Before that period, every beginning is very hard and so on. Which were the greatest challenges you faced when you were kicking off your coaching MMA career?
I think the greatest challenges is more so just being in Maryland, which there's no one moves to America and says, hey, let's set up camp and try to get to the UFC and move to Maryland. And so we're working with a lot of homegrown people that are from our area. I started teaching when I was 6 months into my training, so I was a blue belt. We had a black belt in the area, so it was hard to get students because the black belt was a Brazilian and I'm a black guy who's a blue belt. So it's like in jiu-jitsu. So the biggest challenges was just getting students to believe in a blue belt. What could a blue belt know? As far as MMA, I did 2 fights, so I wasn't experienced fighting. I wasn't experienced in jiu-jitsu. I wasn't experienced in mixed martial arts. So it was getting people to believe in the system. And once we started winning at the local MMA level and winning at the local jiu-jitsu and grappling level, and I was at the forefront competing myself. So people were watching that. Okay, he's good. And so that started attracting people and started snowballing. We got better and better and better until we got to where we are today.
So in the beginning, the worst problem was actually because you were a blue belt. People didn't believe in you, right?
Correct. Yeah, I was a blue belt. Didn't have a lot of experience. There was another person that was local who was from Brazil, and he was a black belt. So yeah, they didn't believe me.
So how did you change people's mind? It was probably very, very hard.
Yeah, but I changed people's mind because I was I'm a marketing guy, so I'm very much into marketing. So I was very loud and boisterous with what my goals were, what my plans were, and my goals were. I had two goals. I said back in like 98, 99. One was to create a UFC world champion, and two was to create world champions in jiu-jitsu at the highest level, and win world titles. And I hadn't won a world title. I hadn't even fought in the UFC, so like people laughed at the time. But I had a plan, and I understand about the art and science of developing athletes. And anything I don't know, I'm going to read. I'm going to go study. I'm going to talk to other coaches. I talk to elite coaches in Olympics, Olympic level coaches, Olympic level wrestling coaches, Olympic level judo coaches, just to learn and learn and learn, and then come back and apply those lessons to my own school. Then see what works, what doesn't work. And then when I see things aren't helping the guys progress, then we remove that, and the stuff that's helping us, we keep that, and then we add on. And so trial and error, trial and error, trial and error, until we come up with a formula.
Can you describe how did you create the first UFC champ?
Well, the first UFC champion, Dominick Cruz, he came in. It's a long story. Like one of my old partners, Eric Del Firo, was throwing MMA events, and one of the guys that he invited to fight in the event happened to be Dominick. But Dominick was brought in. He was lighter, and he was brought in to fight another heavy guy, 155 guy. And Dominick came to the event by himself, no corners, asked people to corner him, and he fought. He ended up winning, and it was a hell of a show. And Eric invited him to stay with him and to move. Come and live in his house, and he did, and started training. And at that time, it was a WEC, and he got thrown into the mix. One of his fights was against Uriah Faber. Uriah beat him, and then Dominick kept learning, and then kept doing good in the WEC, and then got to a point where he won the WEC belt, and then there was a time that UFC and the UFC bought the WEC, and they were merging. So we were the WEC champion, and then we fought. I forgot the guy's name, but whoever we fought at the time, it was the winner got the UFC belt. So we won, we became the UFC champion, and then from there, we just kept on defending the belt. Uriah Faber was the superstar name in the WEC. He built the whole WEC up. So we ended up having to fight him twice. We were on the Ultimate Fighter reality show. It was Team Dominick Cruz versus Team Uriah. That was real fun. And at the end of the show, we would fight Uriah. And so, that's how it started with Dom.
That one, well, it's kind of more private question about Dom. I'm a huge fan of his. I literally grew up on his fights, but Dom hurts himself over and over and over. Why is that happening?
Well, with the first injury, he was training with Wilson, and he was defending the takedown off the cage, and Wilson came around and went down and blew his ACL out. And if you follow like the sports, and you see when people have an ACL, it's a serious injury. And when you get to one injury, things happen. So it's a mental discipline you have to be able to come back. Certain body parts start compensating for other sides, so you get imbalance. So he hired personal trainers and stuff like that to get himself back in the correct fashion. Came back, had that one fight, and then got injured again. Sometimes me, I've had 6 knee surgeries. I had 1 elbow surgery. Some people like just get injured, and it wasn't because he wasn't rehab properly. He goes super hard. He's super disciplined, doing his rehab and stuff like that. But it's crazy, and it just happens over and over and over with very serious injuries. But the thing you have to give Dom respect for is some people, I've seen people basically tap out and give up after 1 ACL surgery, let alone 2. And with the amount of surgeries Dom's had and the things he's had to overcome to stay mentally disciplined and still be out there in the game to fight is a testament to his mental fortitude.
You participated in many MMA and UFC fights as a coach. Can you pinpoint to maybe 3, 4, 5 the most difficult ones for you as a coach mentally?
Mentally and emotionally, I think the one that bothered me the most, that got to me the most, was Brandon Vera versus Fabricio Verdum. I think we were in the UK, I think, and I forgot the referee that was refereeing, but during the fight, everything we had been practicing was going as planned, and Fabricio did an inside trip and got Brandon down. And at this point, you have to understand where we were at. At that point, we were negotiating with the UFC. We were on the rise. Things were going really good. This was a big fight for us. And Fabricio's on top. He's a killer in jiu-jitsu. He's on top. We're working, defending. And the referee is asking Brandon, "Are you okay?" And Brandon said, "Yes, I'm okay." He verbally tells. And we practice this type of stuff, so you don't have no errors. He verbally said, "Yes, I'm okay." And then the referee kept saying, "Are you okay? You're not moving. You have to move. It's not." But you're in a position, you can't move, you can't give up this position. So the guy asked him again, and Brandon looked at him, gave him a thumbs up, said, "Yes, I'm okay," and the referee stopped it.
Yeah, I remember that fight, I remember.
Listen, being a coach, and I understand this, like with Brandon, it's not like some of these places that you have guys, you have an MMA gym, and people are just coming to train and try to get to UFC, and they're just using you as a gym. Like Brandon came up training with us as a student, and going to jiu-jitsu tournaments, just going to grappling tournaments, being in a van tournament, and then we happened to go to MMA, and then we happened to get to the UFC. So it's like a son of mine. So to see something like that happen, and knowing where we are with the negotiation with the UFC and the way it goes down, and I know that the chance of getting a rematch and chance of getting overturned, like I know, I know it's not happening. And I felt so bad. Like that bothered me for it bothers me now, but it bothered me for over a year because letting a referee's decision influence your entire career path just hurts. Because oftentimes, without a referee in there, if you lose a fight, a lost fight at the wrong time can change your career. But that's probably the top thing that ever happened in the UFC that still stands on me. In a fight in the UFC, it's hard. I mean, that one stands out the most. We've had some great times in the UFC. We had some losses in the UFC. Another time when Brandon fought, we fought John Jones. He got elbowed and broke his orbital. We had, being in the hospital, then going through the rehab for the eye, and then with Tim Silver fight our hand rehab. Like anytime the guys have injuries, and there's a lot of stuff people don't see after the fact. The fight's the fight, and once you go home, you have to deal with that stuff for the rest of your life, and for the period of time for the rehab and injury. It's a lot emotional because a lot of people put a lot of time, energy, and effort into their training. For my guy Sadiq Youssef, 145er, his debut in Australia, I didn't get a visa till the last second, and it literally could have been a movie if he had seen everything I had to go through to get to Australia. But I got to Australia at the last second, went straight from the airport straight to the arena, and in 90 minutes we were fighting. And he got his win, and he's from Nigeria, and he's a very humble kid. I love his mom. He's another guy who came at 18 years old with a dream of being in the UFC, and he's a student like my son. And so that was very, very emotional. But I've had a lot of good memories. I can tell you overall, a lot of them have to do with Brandon as well. Like when we fought Randy Couture in the main event in the UK, that was amazing. So I could go on and on for days.
Okay. About John Jones fight. Everybody are saying that John Jones is very tough, mentally tough and so on. But what happened in that fight? Did you have some different strategy? Because when I was watching it, I was thinking for a second, oh man, what is happening? It's different John Jones. He's not the same. Somebody, in my state we say somebody broke his game plan. What do you think?
What do I think about John?
Yeah?
John's an animal. No if, ands, or buts. And a lot of people that have never competed at or been at a elite level, I mean, very few people, if any. I mean, I don't think any. Like, there's a photo of John Jones, Dominick Cruz, Anderson Silva, and all the UFC champions up on a stage. John is the only one that still has the belt now. So there's nobody that's been around that long. And when you get to elite level status at that young, the fame, the stardom, the money, the prestige, and everything else that comes with it, it's rough. So when you're winning, like I give you an example, like Sadiq Youssef always talks about the one loss he had in Titan, how he lost focus and how he hadn't won. And he started buying into the hype. That's for real. He's like, oh my God, he's lost it. Well, he's lost, when you get that great, think about this. I always think about this. Floyd Mayweather. Floyd Mayweather is so great in boxing and so rarely ever gets hit that the crowd goes off so crazily when he just gets touched or hit, as if it would happen when somebody got hit, knocked down, or knocked out in a fight. They do that for him just when he gets hit. Why? Because he's so great at such an elite level that when something that's regular, normal happens, they think something's wrong with him. It's the same thing with John, I feel. You know what I'm saying? I've watched his career. We've had students fight him. And I know what it is. I know, like, we've had the UFC title before. I know the mental stress struggles. I know the media obligations and stuff that comes with it. And it's challenging. So him having these matches that go to decisions, he's still in there, still fighting, and he still pulls it out.
So yeah, I agree. About the incident in 28, how did you disarm the attacker?
So I use a technique that I learned in Sambo. I love Sambo. I love all the Russian Sambo stuff. And so it's a disarm. It's a single arm, two-hand disarm where I disarm the weapon and turn the weapon away from anybody bystander. So the bystander was my wife, Brandon. They were on the hands and knees in my bedroom. My son was on the bed on the portable mattress, and so I just disarmed him and took the gun out, and then the cartridge dropped and he ran, and I got the gun, ran to my wife and my son, put them in the bathroom to tell them to call 911, and then the rest is a long story. It was funny too because that happened the week before we left to go with Brandon to go fight Keith Jardine. So it was crazy.
Yeah, I agree. So how many schools and dojos do you have now?
I only have one. I have students that have their own school, but I've had two one time back in the late 90s, 2001-ish. I had one in Virginia. I was going back and forth, but I didn't like that too much. And then I moved my instructor here from Brazil, and then he started teaching in Virginia, same area that I had my school, and so he's been out there. He has two schools now out there.
What do you think of BJJ for a street fight? Is it okay or?
I believe every martial arts is good for what it's created for. And if a fight went to the ground with one-on-one opponents, I think jiu-jitsu is really good. But multiple opponents and you go to the ground, things can be bad. Every martial art is good for what it's created for. And jiu-jitsu has technique standing up as well as on the ground. But like if it depends on what you're doing. Like if we're doing judo and someone attacks you and you can just throw them on their head or throw them to disable them, it's better,
Yeah, I agree definitely. Do you have some long-term plans right now? I mean, you have some UFC names, you have some good names like Sadiq, and do you have some long-term plans, or do you make plans for 1 year or?
I have long-term plans, but I've accomplished all my goals as a coach. And we don't have like a big gigantic team. Like we don't have a big fight team where we have all these fighters and stuff like that that are trying to get to the UFC. We have a martial arts school that people come in on a 30-day free trial, and at some point they decide they want to fight, and if they have what it takes, if they want to go to the UFC, they can do it. Right, like as far as the longer term goal we have right now, we're trying to get. We have a few other guys that are knocking on the UFC's door. We have one guy named Teflon. He got invited to fight on Dana White's Contender Series. We fought a guy that already fought on the Contender Series, and he got a developmental contract from Dana White. We took a short notice fight against him. We finished him, and then Dana White invited Teflon to be on the Contender show. But with this situation going on right now, we have to wait for a new date with that. And Sadiq has a goal to get the UFC's belt, so I'm fully there. That's what we're focused on. That's what we're locked on, trying to get Sadiq to a position where he can fight for a title and get a world title.
Thanks. Would you like to mention something we didn't mention? Would you like to add something to this interview?
Yeah, if you're into grappling, I have a book called The Grappling Game Plan. And I released this in 2003. And when I released it in 2003, it had videos, it had workbooks, it had a lot of stuff. I was selling $200, $300, depending on what package you got. And at that time, when I first released the Grappling Game Plan, I didn't have any world champions. I didn't have what I have now. So in the end of 2019, I re-released it, I updated it. Now I have world champions at blue belt, purple belt, brown belt, and black belt. And now I re-released it. I'm giving it away for free. I'm trying to get it into as many people's hands as possible. And all I ask for them to do, they have to pay a small shipping and handling fee. If it's in the United States, it's $9.95. If it's international, anywhere else in the world, is $19.95. People always say, hey, well, it can't be free if you're paying shipping and handling. The thing is, I have 20 plus years of knowledge, world champion, elite level knowledge that I've put into this book. The information in this book is the same information that I teach and train my guys under. My guys read the book. But more importantly, this is the same information that I used and allowed me to be able to help students reach the elite level. And now I have a company that I pay. They process it, they package them, they ship them, they take them to the post office, and they ship them out. And I have to pay them. So I'm giving the book away. The book is free. I'm taking care of that. But the shipping cost that goes to the department, like I'm not willing to pay that. So that's why they have to pay a small shipping and handling fee. And they can get it at thegrapplinggameplan.com. It's called www.thegrapplinggameplan.com.
Thank you so much. I enjoyed this interview pretty much, and I just hope Dominick is not going to hurt himself anymore. He's an amazing fighter.
Yeah, I pray.
Yeah,
sure.
Me too. Thank you so much. I will release this tomorrow, probably tomorrow morning your time. Have a great day. Thank you so much for being my guest. Goodbye.
Thank you. Take care.